It's a journey, y'all. It's called The Journey Within. That's what my friend said to me. She said,
Genius.
there's no greater journey than the journey within.
We are finally here. The day has come. The day that the Lord our God has made. Oh man. What a day. What an experience. And, you know, as I think about this monumentous moment, moment, experience. Yeah, I wanted to say that, but man, like, it's taken so long to get to this point, but we're finally here, man. Space Ranger is out, Machi. Space Ranger is complete. Space Ranger is ready. It's been ready. The idea was conceptualized. Now it's just an opportunity for it to be released. Yo, where my dogs at? Yo, what's good, man? What's good? You know, so beautiful, man. It's taken a bit of time. But as we know, time is one of those things that is so much of a construct, so much of our perception. And I understand that this was the time, this is the time, this is going to be the time that we make it, you know, and to make the best of the time, we, you know, hey, yeah, I'm even thinking about Idle Time, you know, the project that came before Space Ranger. It was, you know, making the best of what happens in those idle times. But then it's also that, the oxymoron, right? Idle, being chilled, time, it's in motion. And here we are with Space Ranger, another one. Peace and anger. You know, the amount of emotions and feelings that I've had to navigate through in this period. Oh wow, the dogs are coming up today, the birds too. Hey man, where my dogs at? We're flying high out here. You know what it is. But yeah man, the amount of feelings, emotions, experiences I've had to navigate during this period of time, it's been crazy, man. It's been crazy. It's been crazy. Like, I have learned to, you know, prioritize my peace. I have learned to channel my anger. You know, all the feelings and emotions that you would even associate with anger, it's those things that I've had to, you know, recognize, understand, especially like my triggers. And in that realization of me even knowing what my triggers are, that has helped me now, you know, observe, learn, and course correct. You know, I'm even thinking about an experience that I had today with one of my colleagues who's a very difficult individual. And yo, man, I handled that situation with so much finesse, so meticulously. And, you know, it's not even about being perfect, but it's about letting love lead, you know? And that also just speaks to the peace and all the positive emotions that I seek to embody, embrace, become, and exude, and be an example of as well. So, Eta. So it's like, yo, man, you know, even just being friendly, just being kind, you know, sometimes it's actually one of the harder things to do, because to retaliate, to be angry, to be sad, you know, it's sometimes that's the easy part, but then doing the positive thing is the hard part. So it hasn't been like easy at times, especially when you can tell that people don't like you, people don't receive you well, they misunderstand you almost intentionally sometimes, you know. But you know what? Letting love lead has been one of the hardest things for me, because you even have to love your enemies. You have to love those who are plotting and scheming against you. In this case, I'm saying it's a colleague, but maybe you are relating to this as well as, you know, also your colleagues, your friends, your family, your past partners, business partners. I don't know who it may be, whoever's going to hear this, but I'm just documenting this moment. You know, as much as I'm doing it for myself, I understand that this is a moment in time that will be referred back to by all those who need it, all those who need to hear it. And I think it's just that reminder to say, you know, even when things are tough, you got to keep going. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing on. You know, you have an idea to put yourself out there. Look at my voice switching up on me right now. You know, I went through a throat chakra activation, you know. I'm not going to speak too much on that right now, but just go and research that. Go and Google it. You know, whatever search engine you got there. But that's what it is, right? I had to search me. I had to go within. I had to Google myself. I had to search my personal engine, which is my soul, which is my mind, because it was producing all these different things. What was it working on? What is my engine working on? But I say this also to say that whatever task, goal, project that you have in mind, you are going to face challenges. You are going to face peaks, troughs, you know, things that are gonna test your heart. I'm just recalling a verse now that I read about how God, differentiated the people of Israel by getting them circumcised. But then he was saying that even their hearts needed to be circumcised. Oh man, like the verse isn't coming to mind right now. In fact, I'm even being led to maybe just check for this thing. Give me a second. I think I should find it real quick. When did I read this? Yesterday? Okay, one moment. It is... I think it's either one of these two. In fact, actually, I think it's the second one. It might be Jeremiah 9:25 to 26. Yeah, I think that is it, actually. But, what is the posture of our hearts even as we're going through these trials and tribulations? And granted, this kind of sounds weird, like, being circumcised in the heart, but it's like, if you just dive deeper into the verse, it's a matter of, like, it's quite shocking. Like, why would our hearts need to be in that form? Why would our hearts need to be circumcised? It's because, like I'm saying, we're going to be put through the trials, we're going to be put through the fire, put through the storm to see if we conform. What is our shape? What posture do we take even when things are tough, things are difficult? We are saved, we are vindicated, we are, brought into a new era, right? Just like the Israelites were brought out of Egypt. So I was brought out of my dark period. I was brought out of my sadness, my depression, my heartbreak, my disappointment, my fear. I was brought out of so many things that ultimately could have shaped me had I decided to stay there, had I decided to be comfortable, had I decided not to evolve, grow, change, learn, discern. The boy got a rhyme all the time. Hey! Alright, actually, let me keep walking this way because, man, there's so many cars over here. But, gang, like, I had to choose differently. I had to become different. And I tell you my story because it can be, the motivation. My story is the motivation. I'm remembering the last time I actually referenced this song. It was when I was at Adam's Calendar and what is it? Stefflon Diggs by Conway the Machine. There I am. Oh, here it all connects again because, a machine is also an engine and we were just talking about ourselves as the engine. So what was my fuel? What was I running on? And I couldn't be running on like old software, old programming. I needed an update. I needed to see what this engine was running on, like taking a car to service, going to check like, hey, is everything good? What's the gauges, where the levels at? And where the dogs at? And I was alone, man. I was alone. I honestly thought, a lot of it would be done with people around me, friends, family, previous business partners, whether that be for my sneakers, for my music, a bunch of different passions and stuff that I have. But what I viewed as being alone in the physical just led me to seeing how much I was not alone in the spiritual. Because even right now, I'm taking my walk, but I don't walk alone, man. I'm walking with my angels, my guides, my ancestors, the ascended masters, and God, And you too. You are also not by yourself, because there's you and there's yourself. You've always got your body. And, I've been doing like mirror work, as they call it. I don't even know what all of what mirror work entails. That's something I'm going to learn. But, just looking at myself in the mirror, talking to myself, complimenting myself, loving myself, being so caring and loving to myself, recognizing myself, flaws and all. And just seeing how much of, I am the person inside this self, inside this body. And realizing that I'm always going to be with myself. So if I ever need to talk to anybody, let me talk to me. Let me talk to this engine. Let me talk to this body, this vessel, this machine. That is me. So with all of that journey, with all of that self-talk, now here I am able to see that, it's because of that commitment, that dedication, that I was able to make it to this point that I have actually finally put this project out. That I did focus, that I did make it through those trials and tribulations, because I asked for peace and I was presented with war, gang. I asked for strength and I was given a weight, also a weight, not only a weight in the sense of something to carry, but weight is in a pause period, a time to analyze, a time to be in retrospect, a time to review. And you can just consider or think about all the things that you might be asking for, and you presented with the opposite, but are you actually clocking this thing, bruv? Are you actually seeing that it's exactly what you wanted, but just appearing in a different form? And realizing that there's energy around us that is just waiting to be, transmuted, taken from one form to another. And, I always say there's no mistakes in what I say, even though I don't plan to say some of these things. But it's take it, it's an opportunity. Seize the day, seize the moment, carpe diem. Or, seize the night. Is that carpe noctem or something? Sometimes you got to flip it on its head. You got to learn some new things out here, bro. Hey. We got to switch it up. But, you gotta seize this thing, you gotta take this thing. But I understand, man, it's all about perspective, it's all about the mind. I'm even thankful to learning about thoughts and thinking and the difference between those two things, because they've ultimately helped me see, helped me realize, helped me understand that, as much as I had all these positive thoughts, all these positive ideas and intentions, the frame of reference, the vessel of these thoughts needed to change. I changed my eating habits, I changed my lifestyle, my movements, how I thought, who I kept around me, my company, the things that I watch, the things that I eat, the things that I listen to, gang, everything. And it took time, it took a long time. I mean, just me even thinking about my diet, right? I'm plant-based right now, but had I known that I was going to change to be plant-based when I started changing my eating habits, I don't think I would have done it. But it took almost a year and maybe, let me say a year and 6 months, if I'm gonna just kind of cap it to a given time period. But it was the first hint was eat more veggies, and I start doing that. And then the next step is revealed to me. Okay, cut some meat out. Okay, then the next step is revealed to me. continue doing this now, make it more habitual. And then, little by little over time, eventually gets to a point where it's like, yo, I'm having more meat. I'm having less meat and more veggies, right? So I'm like now I'm flexitarian. And around the time of Diwali this year in 2025, the other boy makes the decision like, all right, you've been vegetarian for a minute now. So it was, of course, eating meat, flexitarian for a minute, vegetarian for a minute, and then, vegan / plant-based now. But it's been a journey, So I'm just saying that to say it was not instant. It took a long time. But if that was just a change in my diet, you can imagine there's a change in my thinking, a change in how I prioritize my time, a change in my activities, a change in how I even spend my money, invest my money, a change in, my routine, how I think. Like, so many things change. A change in how I work, a change in how I write, a change in how I see myself, a change in how I dream, a change in how I journal, a change in how I create. That's a big one right there. I don't create the same way. I create now more intentionally, even knowing that I'm a channel for the divine, and creativity's ultimate expression, because what else are we gonna do here on our journey on earth, I'm thinking about what's that guy's name? I think it's Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society. How he speaks to, there's this poem that he does where he's like, we are just one verse in this ongoing poem of life. And here I am now thinking and realizing like, damn, what is my verse? What is my contribution to this great cataclysm, this great creation, this great expanse that is life, that is creation, that is expression. And I need to play my part in that. You need to play your part in that. It's just so many. There's too much to fit into just one voice note, into one video, into one recording. But this message, along with every other message, is just meant to inspire you, meant to plant a seed, meant to, help you think, consider, see yourself the way that God sees you, as infinite, as divine, as being able and capable of wonderful and amazing things that only you can break out of, We are only constrained by self-imposed limitations, and we should expand and not limit ourselves. We should open our minds, open our hearts, open our spirit to evolving, seeing things from a different perspective. Because if you want to change, or you want to see a change, then you have to change, because it starts within. The changes within us will reflect outside of us. And like I was saying, I was looking for the change outside of me first before I made the change inside of me. And I had to switch it around and see it from a different perspective to say like, well, looking outside of me for so long, nothing changed. So maybe I should start looking at me now. Stop blaming and start looking at myself. I'm reminded now of another colleague that I was speaking to. And I was saying to them like, yo, if you point your finger at somebody else before you even check them, there's one finger pointing at them, but if you think about your hand, there's like 3 fingers pointing back at you. And I will check myself 3 times before even checking somebody else once, gang. So it's just my way of remembering that I must hold myself accountable. Yeah. And that was a tough one, man. Holding myself accountable. Gang, shit. That was the tough one. I created a routine, then I don't stick to it. Telling myself I'm going to do things on certain days and certain times, and I don't do it. But, I had to realize that I needed to be kinder to myself, more loving to myself. Remind myself of the fact that I'm human, that I make mistakes, that I'm not always going to show up the way that I think I need to show up. Because other times you want to go one way, but Spirit, the universe, God, they're leading you another way, and you can't be stubborn. You know, you have to listen, you have to follow. Because what do they say? When we make plans, God laughs. And it is exactly like that. I'm thinking, no, today, telling you, my boy, when I stay up, boom, I fall asleep. Or today I'm going to do a certain thing, or I'm not going to do a certain thing, but then it just reveals itself in its own way. And that now comes in with trusting God, trusting that the answer or the best way forward will be revealed, because that's where the trust came in. And the more I started to trust, the more I started to believe, the more I started to see that, you know what, there is a greater way, a better way, a way that even I cannot see, that even I cannot know fully. But if I can give in to where I'm being led, where I'm being directed, maybe that path will be better than the path that I know. Because it's not to say that the things that we know are going to lead us to where we want to go. We need to learn new things. And that's actually part of the verse that I read today in my Bible study. That God is doing a new thing, man. God is doing a new thing. So if you want a new thing in your life, why not allow new habits, new behaviors, new thoughts, new direction? And letting things go as well. Another tough one. Man, I gave up smoking. I gave up my hobby. Started smoking less weed. Like, even that, now it's like here and there, from smoking often every day at a certain point to not even smoking. I don't know, it's been like a couple of months now. I used to game every day, but now it's like every so often. But just examples of like certain habits, behaviors. Like, look, even with the meat, I don't even have meat anymore. Or no animal products, no milk, no eggs. Fuck, one of my favorite things, a Chelsea bun. I can't even eat that because, it has milk in it, it has eggs in it. But I've been learning, new things, new ways. I baked like a banana loaf the other day, and I'm so proud of myself because I never thought I would bake my own thing like that, but I did it. And it's better because it's healthier. And I realized that this is what I've always wanted, to be more healthy. But it had to happen this way. And all of the parts, all the steps were revealed over time. So whatever change that you want to make as well, yes, it might seem like a mammoth of a task. It might seem like, it's such a huge, big thing. But if you can break it down into small chunks, if you look at it like building a habit, check out like James Clear, Atomic Habits maybe. Or you even look at it like, pieces to a puzzle. One piece at a time. Me on my walk to 10,000 steps, one step at a time, right? But even then, it's not to say that the journey is over. We're going to keep going. We have different targets, different things we want to do in different parts of our lives. And each of those are going to be a step. And that kindness to ourselves is a reminder that, progress is progress. Some days you're going to stumble and fall. But other days, you're going to knock that shit out the park, But in my efforts to release Space Ranger, there've been times where I've been hella inspired, like, I'm going hard in the paint. And other days that turned into weeks or months where I didn't even open Fruity Loops at all. I didn't even write down any ideas. I didn't even get things to sample or make music with or create skits with, whatever. But when I think about how long it took to put together all the different influences that came together for this to actually work out, man, every moment, every single thing that went into it was inspired. I never forced it. It just felt like flow. It felt like an extension of me. And that's when I, started to realize it more, understand it more, that this is all a channeling. Even with me reading like tarot, doing these messages, even speaking right now, it's not like I'm thinking to myself like, okay, here's the script, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to say. It's all me working in tandem with spirit, opening myself to speaking, to being a vessel for a message. And I find myself around people saying things that they need to hear, because I've become a willing participant to this energy exchange. And you can do the same thing as well. I believe that all of us are gifted in some way, in some shape or form. And it's that recognition that allows us to hone in, to tune in on that gift, and ultimately make it better, flex it. It's like a muscle. And sometimes I feel disconnected because I also have bad days. I'm not gonna pretend like on every day I'm my best, that I'm tapped in like all the way up. But you know what? I work through those feelings. And the best way I found to do that is, through stillness, through silence, through meditation, through any practice that helps me get back to myself, get back to earth. Because it's from that solid foundation that we can build upon that we can rise above. So, if anything, as you go through these changes, build some kind of practice that helps you come back to yourself. Because there will be days that are very tough. There will be moments where you need to kind of make sense of everything, come back to yourself, recenter, refocus, and ultimately give yourself that opportunity to take stock, to be in retrospect, to be accountable. And those are the moments where you will journal, where you will have these internal self-discussions and ultimately be the better you or best you, because we only get better at the things that we measure. So day to day, writing down my thoughts, my feelings, seeing how I'm progressing on certain things, ideas, dreams, whatever it is, just writing things down, because as soon as I've got these things out of me, now I'm creating space for what needs to come in, because it's the engine, right? Some things are coming out, burning up that energy or burning up that fuel, using it for something that you need, and then it goes out. Sometimes there's some things that come into us that we hold on to, and we're saving that energy for later. It's like a bank, it's like an energy bank, a memory bank. You need to remember certain things so that you can apply them consistently. And after a certain amount of time, you don't need that thing anymore, and you can let it go and you move on to something else. But that's just how it is. So let's also remember that we should just give ourselves an opportunity to grow, to transform, to evolve, to become different. Become. We're not meant to stay the same. We're not meant to get sick either. And we get sick. We get cancerous cells because we are holding on to stuff that we don't need to hold on to. And our body responds. Our bodies are keeping the score. Our bodies are reminding us like, yo, you remember that time you did this? Now you've got this pain. Remember that time when you didn't do this? Now you're feeling this way. I started to think to myself like, shit, what if all this smoking is like gonna lead me to like a throat cancer? And on top of that, I know I'm smoking because I'm just like using this as a pastime to avoid the things that I actually need to do with my throat, which is speak, which is take responsibility, going back to that throat chakra activation thing I was talking about earlier. But even recognizing that like some of our greatest like vices or bad habits are the things that we actually need to conquer. Trust me, I'm dropping a whole bunch of stuff right now in this message. It's alright. So thank you, spirits. Thank you, guardians. Thank you for supporting this message, man. I support this message. I endorse these strippers and I support these strippers. And I'm thinking about that song with Tiger and Nicki. And you know what? I also endorse the shedding. If I'm thinking about what a stripper does, right? Takes off clothes and stuff. I endorse the shedding of lifestyles, thinking, energies, ways of being, doing that no longer serve us. And with this being, year 9, year of the snake as well, that shedding, that letting go is actually a rebirth. It's an opportunity to take new shape, new form. Because we're not here to conform, but we're going to transform. That just speaks to the energy in motion. And that's what it was, right? The emotion. The energies that were felt, that were experienced. And that created this oxymoron between this peace and this anger, leading to Space Ranger. Yo, even the idea of how this all came together, like realizing that there is peace, that there is anger, and that they were at opposite sides of each other, that I can't be both at the same time. I have to choose. Do you want to be angry at this person, or do you want to be peaceful with them? And if you are angry with them, transmute. Become the alchemist. Become the magician. Become the wizard. And ultimately evolve, man. Cast your love spell, your spell of hope, your spell of positivity, your spell of wonder, your spell of peace. And they'll say, peace is not achievable and all these things, but you know what? We looking to the world, not looking to ourselves. So once I also learned to separate myself from my body and realize who I was at my true, my core, my essence, having taken that journey within, here I am. Here we are. Thank you for giving me this time. Thank you for listening to me. If you're still here listening to this message, I fucks with you. This must definitely be resonating with you. You must be perhaps taking your notes, thinking your own things. Or, perhaps you're also wondrous and curious in your own way about me, about my journey. And at whichever point this finds you, whether I am who I am now or who I am at a different point, thank you for being part of this journey of becoming. Know that you too are becoming, you too are revolving, and for this to find you, in fact, I'm even setting that intention right now that whoever needs to hear this is going to be inspired, going to, be going through their own evolution. And that's why you need to hear this message, is because you are ready for the shift. You are ready to receive the very things that you've been asking for. In fact, they are here. They were just waiting for you to decide, waiting for you to release, Just like I am at this point of release, I believe you are at this place too. And time is like I'm saying, it's an illusion, it's a construct. This might find you once, it might find you a second time, and you might even catch different things the next time you hear it, or repeat this if you need to. But I trust that this is for you, this is for, this time, or this place, or this area, this situation, this experience that you're having right now. Make the most of it, gang. I send much love, I send light your way, and know that we are in this together. We are not alone, even if it appears so in the physical, in the spiritual, in the universe. We are a whole army, gang. That's why I say gang, because that's what it is. I had to realize that it's like an actual gang. There's a lot, gang. But a gang has an order. A gang has, a way of operation. A gang has a mission. And that's what we're about. That's what we do. So let's not stop. Let us continue, just being greeted by the people here on the street. It's like, just open yourself up to love, man. People are going to see you. People are going to appreciate you. You know, and to think they even greet me. People are gonna see us, gang. People are gonna see us and just resonate with us, see a part of themselves in us, because we too are just gonna be a reflection of love, a reflection of God. And let's allow. Let's allow. We don't always have to know the how, but just trust that you too are a vessel of divine orchestration, of divine order, of divine engineering. Yeah? And let it be great, let it be wonderful, let it be amazing. God is using you right now, even as the listener of this message, to send out an energy, if not to yourself, right now, to your higher self, to even the people and spaces and environments around you. You know, I'm setting another intention right now that those who hear this message, a shift will come upon you. A shift will not only be set in motion, but it will expand, it will rise, it will increase in momentum, because you've decided, you've chosen, because you are chosen, you've been selected for this path, for this energy, for this time and this place. So make the most of it, gang. Thank you again. I love you, God. I love everything and everyone making this time and place possible, in the past, present, and future. Let us continue. Let us spread love. Let us spread light. And this is only one step, only one part of the journey. And we're going to keep going. Going to keep thriving. Going to keep jiving. Hey, man, I want to dance. I want to dance so much. You know, that too is a release of energy. So just be aware, man. Be aware. Be a willing participant. And let it be great. Let it be amazing. Angel numbers 334, 718, 25, 97, and 92. 36, 49, and 50. Away, gang. Peace, and love. Oh, yeah, and 51. Peace, gang. Ciao.